Alright, back for part 3. And the previous couple of videos, again, try to keep these at a half an hour. We'll get a recap on it. The one video was me setting up the cluster shaft hole and setting the cluster shaft and getting that so it's right. And then the last video, the second one, was me getting so the alignment of the motor plate is exactly where it needs to be. Now for the third video, we're going to put the motor plate aside. This is going to be prep for motor brushes and aligning the brushes, which can be tricky, and you'll see if I spark any interest, like, wait, what? Alignment of the brushes? What are we talking about? I'll show you. Hence the reason why you're watching the video. The first things first is, if you're familiar with the wizzjet brushes, if you look on this brush, there's a ridge around the outside of it, which is from casting of the brushes. It's inevitable. There's nothing you can do about it. It happens. Get in focus, please, and thank you. No? There. No? Alright, well, there we go. There we go. You can kind of see it. There's a little bit of a ridge around the outside edge of it. And like I said, it happens. But much like the pickup shoes need to be flat sanded before you toss them into the chassis or onto the chassis, your brushes need to, oh wow, there's gritties on here. Okay, so I need there's a bunch of crap on there and this nice flat workbench that I have. Oh, that's better. Basically just run it on a piece of paper to get rid of most of it, if not all of it. And once that's gone, it'll be a little bit easier to break said brush in, and it'll be easier to get the end result out of it, which is a smooth running, quiet, low drawing, efficient freight car. Now, we do have, as most of you probably know, the brush tubes, especially this one here in the back, has a burr in the middle of it. And it wasn't a problem until RC came out with the bigger diameter brushes that take up all of the space in the chassis. And like I said, it wasn't a problem until then. Now that we're running these big fat wide brushes, which are way better because they don't flop around and stuff like that, you know, bouncing around inside the brush tube, brush hole, creating a bunch of loss of power and electrical conductivity, because you want to, it would make that brush float. You know what I mean? It would sit in there and just kind of bounce around, and it would never stay consistent. Now, though, these things are so tight in the tolerance department that it kind of sucks, because you're not getting good conductivity. The good ones, or the big ones now, are much better and allowing them. Sorry, I stumbled over myself there. The bigger diameter brushes are much better for electrical conductivity, because the brush isn't flopping around, banging around, you're not losing horsepower. But in order to fix that, you get yourself a die. This is a die today, guys. This is a tap. It is a 0.1265 reamer. It's not a die. I should die for saying that. I should know my tools. And what you do is you just kind of put it in there. You got to make sure that it's a flat bottom. This one's flat and has a hole in it, which, believe it or not, the hole works phenomenally perfect, because I'll show you when you stick it into the hole, the leaf sits perfectly right inside that hole. And you just want to ream it flat. You're just going to spin it a couple times, and you can see I'm pushing up on that leaf. I'm not going crazy with it, because if I push too much, you're going to ruin the leaf and have to re-straighten it, and what a problem that would be. And yes, I did the front one. I recommend doing both of them, not just the back one. The back one itself is the one that has the issues, and this one takes just a little bit more finesse. And you can see the material getting chawed off there. But you want to ream it square, so which means you're going to try and line it up as best as you can using your eyes. And you can see how this is square to the chassis, and ream it square. So blow the excess off, and you want to ream it so it's square, so the brush sits in the hole square. And now I have run into an issue, and I don't know if anybody else has, and this here really isn't. The front one is good, right? You can kind of see how it's sitting perpendicular, parallel, however you want to look at it. The brush is sitting flat. Like I said, it depends upon how you're talking about it. But it sits flat in the tube, in the hole, and it's lined up flat with the chassis. Now here comes the problem, and I don't know if anybody else noticed, but I have, and it's kind of annoying, because when you go to put the chassis in or put the motor plate in the car, and you go to break in the brush, this back brush likes to sit crooked. So which means it's going to wear on the heel of the brush. And no matter how many times you push up and down that thing, even if I push up on the back of it, it's still going to, but you push up and down on the back of it, that's kind of defeating the purpose. It's like pushing up and down on the front of it, right? You want to push up and down in the center, or you push up and down in the center every single time, it's going to bounce back heavy on the back side. If you can see that in there, every time it's going to bounce back up on the heavy on the back side. So when you break in your brush and your motor, it's just going to wear right here. So, okay, Steve, well, how the hell do you plan on fixing that? Take a nice screwdriver, flat blade screwdriver, small little itty bitty shitty one. This one is, if you can see, it's 2 millimeters wide. Whatever that translates into without me busting out with my calculator and converting, and it's 2 millimeters wide. You figure it out. I take the excuse me. You can also use this one too, which is 2.4 millimeters wide. But I laid the chassis flat on the table, and what you're going to do is you're going to push down. Get the angle of this right. You're going to push down on the high spot where it goes into the groove of the brush, right? The leaf, right where it goes into the groove of the brush. You're going to push down on that, not flatten it. And this is a feel thing, right? Does it take a little bit of pressure? But if you can see what I did, okay, kind of flatten that out a little bit. I actually think I did it too much, but we're going to take our brush and we're going to set our brush in there, and now that brush, no matter how you push on it, how many times you push on it, I went a little too far with it, because now it's pushing on the nose of it, or the middle of it, it's being the middle, it's pushing on the middle of it, and it's now got too much on her. So, oh, good job, Steve. How the hell are you going to fix that now? Smart ass. Alright, well, you got fingernails. I have little ones because I cut them. I didn't have my mommy do it. And you're going to put your fingernail on the bottom of the leaf, and you're going to take the same screwdriver, 2.4, 2 millimeter, or whatever the hell you want. You're going to put it right here on the leaf and just give it a little bit of a bend. you basically want to support the bottom of the leaf so it doesn't push down, so that you can correct the issue. And this is, again, totally a feel thing. You will mess them up. I've messed up a couple of them. Fortunately, we all know a guy that manufactures electrics. See, there's one there, there's one there. So I happen to have some sitting around. So you want to bend that back just a little bit. I admit it, I went too far on the first try, and now it's just a feel thing, and you want to bend it back so that it's right. And we're pretty damn good right there. Still a little nose heavy, but that's good. And the way that this is bent, it's still going to hold. It's still going to hold the brush from spinning. Okay, you can see in the camera that the oh, there we go. Sorry about that. And you can see that the hook, if you will, is still in the groove of the brush. So now, like, oh well, you bent the shit out of everything and nothing lines up. You just messed with all your shoe tension or all your brush tension. Yep, sure as hell did. And that's where this little fella comes in. It's a spring resistance meter, the SRM tool from VRP. Excuse me. All I use it for now is reading my brush tension. I pulled this out. Let's see. For those who care, I pulled it out 28 turns from bottomed out. And when you go out 28 turns from bottomed out, it gives you the right height where it's just about in the middle of the chassis. I measured it when I had electrics off of a new chassis, and I'm not going to take the electrics off of this because that's a whole nother little secret. Oh, tell me all the secrets. Maybe I'll do another video on that one when I have to replace electrics on it. But as for now, what we're going to do is we're just going to set this on here and read what it says, and we're at 1 point. Yeah, see, this screw pisses me off. I need some weight. So we're going to install a pair of magnets to give it some weight. Just some plain old killer bees. And then we're going to set it on here. We're at 1.5, 1.7, 1.1, right? The downside to this, and I need to work on it, is the hook from the leaf sits inside the Phillips head portion of the screw, and it gives you inaccurate readings. Talk about driving you nuts. So I need to work on doing something about that. But we want to get them close, and you can see the back one is a little bit lighter than the front one. And on this meter, believe it or not, this is about where I want it. I want it right around 2.0. Now my readings are going to be different than your readings because your tool is set up differently than my tool, and you may use a different tool than what I use. So this is my reference point, not yours. That's a hard concept to some people to grasp. Is my car does 2.4 on the dyno, or I can only get mine over to 1.5 on a dyno, and you're doing 2.0s on a dyno. Dyno numbers don't mean crap because there's a lot of variables. You have your tire diameter, you have the amperage of the going into the dyno, you have the current going into the dyno, you have all sorts of variables. Nothing is consistent. The dynos themselves aren't consistent. They are within limitations. They're consistent, but for the most part, they're not. They're not 100% perfect from dyno to dyno to dyno. I've took a dyno and plugged it into my power supply and gave me a different rating with the same car. So that'll tell you that. And I was probably, if I did 1.8 on mine, it was 1.75, 1.74 on the other dyno. So there you go. But with that being said, back to what I'm doing here. about a half off on this. Not really, depending upon where I lay it. It's pretty damn close. This back one's light, though. I know this back one's light. And I can tell you it's light just by looking at where it's sitting, where the leaves are, if you can see it in that angle. The back one is sitting lower than the front one. So we do the old bendaroo. Just take your 2 millimeter, not the 2.4, take your 2 millimeter, and just give right as it comes around the curve where the leaf goes into the curve, the circumference there, and just put it a little bit over and give it a little bit of pressure on it. All you do is just bend it up a little bit. And we want to see it right around 2. So how to do it just a little bit every time, because I don't want to do it too much and have to bend it back and screw around and make a mess of everything and end up ruining the leaf and having to tear it out and redo it. Look at that. I was measuring the wrong side. I'm like, wow, that's perfect. Like, no, it's not perfect. I was reading the wrong side. There we go. There we go. Alright, pretty damn equal. Again, the inconsistencies in this tool is just, how do you do anything correctly? How do you get a car fast when you have this kind of a bullshit reading? I mean, look at this. You can move it just a little bit left and right, and this is what you get. So try to be pretty accurate in where you set it down so you can get some sort of a consistent reading. But they're pretty accurate. I mean, if I look at, just take a visual average of the numbers this stupid thing spits out, I will fix that. But as for now, we're good on that. And if you look, they're pretty much equal. The leaves are pretty much equal inside the travel. You know, they're equal inside the travel of the tube. So let me pull the magnets back out, and we're going to grab our brushes. And I like how that feels. It's good. And they're both sitting exactly the same. No matter how many times I push up and down on the brush, they bounce back exactly the same. Just believe it or not, they have a little bit of pressure on the inside of it, so it's pushing them up in the middle, and that is a tuning tweak. And ironically, I just did it, so we're good. We're going to leave that alone. These brush leaves and brush tubes are good. It didn't take that long. I'm happy with the result. And then with our next video, we're going to be mounting that on that with that, and then seating. You know what? I can do that in a couple minutes, right? Nah, this will be another video because I gotta screw around with that to get rid of the flop. See the flop there? This is what you want to get rid of too. And we're at about 20 minutes on this video, and to keep it at that half an hour bracket, I'm gonna go way over. So we're gonna go ahead and carry that one over to part 4. Till then, we'll see you next time.